I just got back from the atheist meetup that was hosted by Debbie, and she's been doing an email with her nephew Greg about debating religion. Greg being religious. She also mentioned that it's okay to discuss publicly, and he's okay with it. He consciously said that, and that he's a brilliant person, very intelligent. He's in the computer, so this is a good. I'm going to make a nice analogy, as I'm a computer person. They were just discussing the Zydus movie and the conspiracy part, and I'm going to read a quote here. Quote, "Do I believe that conspiracies exist and that things aren't as they appear? You bet. But they aren't elaborate. They can't be." Alright, end quote. So, creationists and whatnot say life can't be just natural, that it can't just exist through evolution, through, a series of natural events, because it's too complex. I'm going to make a quick analogy and try to curve back around here to help, because it's a bit complex here. We have quad-core 3 GHz processors, or 3 cores that run at 3 GHz each, so that's 12 GHz of information per cycle. I'm not sure how long a cycle is. So that's 12 billion ones and zeros being pushed through something the size of a quarter, roughly that size, per cycle. That's pretty elaborate. That's pretty complex. Now, yes, that is, the processors have been created by people of consciousness intentionally. Okay. And that's the analogy. So that's complex. Yes, I agree with you on that part. However, as someone who deeply appreciates things that are elaborate, things that are complex, I like 3 shooters. We were playing Unreal Tournament 2004. I would have turned up the game speed to probably about 150 to 200% if the other players didn't object to it, because I like information. I like it fast, I like it quick, and I just like videos where I don't say anything useful for a minute, and I'll scrap out a good video because of that. So anyway, you also mentioned altruism, and I'll make a quick analogy with that. Cats have a limited or complete inability to be altruistic. They look in a mirror and they don't see themselves. They might even think they're looking at another cat if they're even focusing on the area where their face is reflecting back to their eyes. So humans, though, have much greater capacity, intellectually speaking. I had an Islamic gentleman post some messages. I think he was disagreeing with me. However, his point of view seemed very limited in regards to education in general. I'm not trying to insult him, but the way he communicated just didn't seem to suggest that he was well educated. In education and learning cures ignorance. And what is learning? Learning is the detection of patterns. You connect the dots. And so to cure religion from a person, so to speak, is to basically make the connections and say, well, yeah, now that does make sense, and it is elaborate, but it does make sense. And you can appreciate things like technology, which are elaborate. And you can understand, okay, why would I buy an Intel processor versus an AMD processor, or vice versa, if they're both 3 GHz? Well, obviously, their instruction sets are different. So one processor might be faster at encoding an MP3 from a RIP CD, and another might be faster at encoding a video, raw video that you just captured when you went to the beach, for example. So, different contents. It's how it's built. It's also how you as a human being perceive things. Which analogy that I'll make for myself is I've noticed that I don't write articles on my website, and I take them down because every time I read them, I perceive them differently when I read them over and over again. Because even when I read the same thing that I wrote, I perceive it differently. Versus, I don't perceive the definitions and terms as radically different, even though I'm using my own definitions when I write these articles, or attempted in the past to write these articles. And I try to remove the humanism, how it implies, how when I think about philosophy, I remove myself from whatever we're talking about, because existence does not exist for me. I just so happen to exist. I am a natural byproduct of circumstances that led to my existence. Existence is not here for me. There's no invisible guy that says, okay, John exists because I want him to exist. Okay, that would be easy. Hey, I want to believe that when I die, I go to heaven, and if there's like land parties, or I could work on my website for all eternity. Okay, I want that too. But realistically, I'm educated to the point where I've interacted with the existence. I've asked a huge string of questions, the right questions to know, look, that's wishful thinking, and wishing doesn't make it so. Okay, actions make it so. Scientists who spend their entire lives studying the most specific aspects of whatever branch of science, and you keep in mind that science and philosophy are intertwined. You can't have one without the other, because you could ask philosophical questions thousands of years ago, but you can't cite common scientific knowledge of our day, for example. And you go 100 years back, and you need more of a crutch. You need more of those specific citations. Whereas I'm going to stick to, hopefully, what I would presume is common knowledge for our day. So, beginning and end. Those are concepts. I mean, nature doesn't understand a beginning and end. That's just there, okay? And so, I think there was a scientist, and I disagree with him that he mentioned that the Big Bang was the beginning. How is that a beginning? That's your perception that is somehow a beginning. Well, I'm going to ask the question, what was before the Big Bang? So existence, time, for example, is our perception of the passing of events. And time, if you think about it in a physical presence, can either only be defined in two ways, possibly, as a loop or an algebraic line. And in algebra, a line goes infinitely in both directions. A segment has two ending points. And I forgot what it was, where you have one point that goes infinitely in one direction. So I have nothing to suggest that you look at patterns. Patterns is detection of learning is the detection of patterns. And so when I see stars are part of galaxies, and galaxies are part of the universe, I say, well, why is there only one universe? How come, what if there's multiple Big Bangs? Even if you don't have a collapse, if you have two Big Bangs, they don't have to necessarily collapse into each other. They can expand, and like the materials from two portions of the sides, meet and eventually collapse in that manner. And boom, you have the workings for the universe might be filled with multiple universes. The same laws of physics, I would presume, of course. So anyway, with determinism is my main analogy here, because once you understand that you need to be able to debate or willing to debate something in the gray aspects, because there is no gray. Existence just is, whether you understand it for what it really is, or if you live in fear and ignorance in whatever religion for you offers. And there is someone who Islamic gentleman, again, I don't know if I mentioned in this take of the video, he's like, you need to fear Allah. Look, I don't fear anything. I go out at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, walking the dog. Okay, I got a flashlight, and of course my headphones are set to very low, but we're in a decent neighborhood. I'm not much of someone who fears. Do I know there are things that are bad things that could happen? Sure, but I mean, a lot of people are sitting in front of their televisions at 2 o'clock in the morning. I know this stuff. Determinism. It basically breaks down to everything can be broken down to action reaction. No matter if you're talking about a single photon from light hitting something, and you've got to figure out if it's going to bounce off the surface or become absorbed and become heat energy. Heat energy being, heat is really just the vibration of materials. In determinism, ultimately, you could take a snapshot, theoretically, you could take a snapshot of all of existence and know how all things in all possible scenarios will ultimately lead to. And ultimately take all this information, compute it, frame by frame until going backwards and forwards, frame by frame, everything that ever will happen and everything that ever has happened. This, of course, is subjective to whether black holes destroy information or not. So if you are successful in not being a dead end when you are asking questions, you will be attacking gray areas, and that will eventually lead you away from religion. And of course, when you lead away from religion, you lead to greater ethics and morality and other things. And I can go on and on and on, but my 10-minute limit is here, so I have to end it there, or else YouTube will reject the video. So, thanks for watching, and I'll post some more interesting stuff and see how you guys react here. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around.